The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. I have always been a kind and loving person. I have always loved animals more than anything. When I was a little boy, my family always had many different animals around the house. I married when I was very young, and I was happy to find that my wife loved all of our animals as much as I did. We had all sorts of birds, goldfish, a fine dog, and a cat. This latter was a remarkably large and beautiful animal, entirely black and sagacious to an astonishing degree. In speaking of his intelligence, my wife, who at heart was not a little tinctured with superstition, made frequent allusion to the ancient popular notion which regarded all black cats as witches in disguise. Not that she was ever serious upon this point, and I mention the matter at all for no better reason than that it happens, just now, to be remembered. Pluto, this was the cat's name, was my favorite pet and playmate. I alone fed him, and he attended me wherever I went about the house. It was even with difficulty that I could prevent him from following me through the streets. But during those years I was slowly changing. It was that evil enemy of man called drink who was changing me. I began to use bad language, most of all with my wife. I even hit her sometimes, and by that time, of course, I was often doing horrible things to our animals. I hit all of them, but never Pluto. My illness was getting worse. Soon, I began to hurt my dear Pluto too. I remember that night very well. I came home late, full of drink again. My Pluto did not want to come near me. I caught him and picked him up, holding him strongly. He was afraid of me and bit my hand. Someone else was in my body, someone evil and mad with drink. I took my knife from my pocket, held the poor animal by his neck, and cut out one of his eyes. Slowly the cat got better. He never came near me now, of course, and he ran away when I went too close. Someday I did another terrible thing. I caught the cat and hung him by his neck from a tree until he was dead. That night I woke up. Suddenly, my house was on fire. There was nothing left of the building the next morning. All the walls fell down during the night, except one. I was surprised to see a crowd of people next to the wall. I saw a black shape in the new white plaster. It was the shape of a large cat hanging by its neck. I began to feel sad about losing the animal, so I began to look for another one. I looked mostly in the poor parts of our town where I went drinking. I searched for another cat of the same size and type as Pluto. One night, I noticed a black object near some bottles of wine. I got up and went to see what it was. I put my hand up, touched it, and found that it was a black cat, a very large one, as large as Pluto. But this cat had a large wide shape on his front. He got up when I touched him and pressed the side of his head against my hand several times. He liked me. This was the animal I was looking for. He continued to be very friendly, and later, when I left, he followed me into the street. He seemed like Pluto. He had one eye. Only one thing was different, a white shape on his body. But soon, I started to hate him. There, on the cat's front, was the shape of that terrible machine of pain and death, the gallows. One day, my wife and I came into the cellar to cut wood. The cat came with us. This made me so angry. I took the axe and tried to cut the animal, but my wife stopped me with her hand. Now, I needed to hide the body. Our new house was an old building near the river. The walls were quite wet, and the plaster was wet. The cat disappeared. It made me so happy. And so, for the first time in a long time, I slept well. On the fourth day, the police came. I wasn't worried. They searched all the home, but they did not find anything. I was so happy that I could not stop talking with them. I did not really know what I was saying. A voice came from inside the wall, in answer to my knock. After that, they started to break the wall. There was my wife, dead, and the cat alive. My wife was dead because of him, and now his evil voice was sending me to the gallows. The end. The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe.